I literally just woke up and my TP was absolutely smashed. That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's what we do. All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to part 3 of our analysis. If you're new, again, be sure to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future content. Now, last week was a bit of a crazy week, I'm not gonna lie, but I got something interesting for y'all because I ended up catching that same trade I told y'all in the last video, and I held it over the weekend. So I'm gonna show y'all exactly what happened, exactly what I was looking for, and exactly how I caught the trade. It was very confusing at first because the market was a little choppy, but we finally got it. And I woke up this morning and I found my take profit absolutely smashed, absolutely obliterated. And I want to show y'all how you could have caught it. And if you wanted, you probably could have held it for a little longer than I did, but let's go. All right, everybody, welcome to the charts. I'm not gonna waste any of y'all time. Let's get straight into it. If you remember from last week's video, we were right around this area right here. We had created a higher high and we were anticipating a higher low. We were technically right here last week. In the last video, we were right here. And then we had a little bit of a push. And then, obviously the actual pullback ended around somewhere here until we had the continuation, right? Now, remember last video, I'd mentioned that if at any point we body close under this last low, I want to be looking for sells, but that did not happen, meaning my bias was still bullish, right? Now, again, this is why you need to use the lower time frames to give you a better entry. Now, if I'm right here, I go to the 5-minute or the 15-minute, whichever looks cleaner to you. You could have used the 15-minute or the 5-minute. Considering with the type of pullback, you could have used both any time frames, any one of the two. Like we literally had lower lows and lower highs right here. Lower low, lower high. I don't know if I considered this a lower low, lower high, lower low. Then we had a higher high, higher low, and then take your trade right there, higher high. Okay, this is kind of like an equal high, low, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? And it's gonna be very confusing because right here we had like a little, it's kind of like a little correction, kind of like a rising wedge, kind of something like that. Like, but this is still the low. So all this is just structure. To be honest with you, all this is just like structure. Like you can see clearly there, higher high, higher low. Then continue with the trade. Now you gotta be careful with the break of structure on the lower time frame, because for you to identify that it's actually like ready to go, like it's actually like the correction is done, you gotta see like a massive wave of buyers. Like you gotta see like displacement. What I mean by that is, notice like right here we had a strong push from the buyers. Like it was like a steep push from the buyers to indicate to us that like price is actually ready to go. And then you wait for the correction, and then that entry signal for me was like a little engulfing or whatever, and then you take your trade. So this was Friday afternoon. I took this trade, and then I was just holding it, and then in the morning around 8:30, around 8 o'clock, it hit take profit. And honestly, like, you could have probably held this for a little longer. Like I could have caught a 1 to 5 almost. Could have caught a 1 to 5, but I was cool with my 1 to 2. Like I don't need a 1 to 4, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, bro. I feel like it's more realistic to trade. Like if I'm targeting my 1 to 2s, 1 to 2.1s, like that's more than enough for me, if I'm being completely honest. Or if you wanted to be aggressive, you could have just like, made your stop loss a little smaller. But we have to be objective, bro. We have to follow our rules, bro. And our rules tell us that our stop loss should be below the last low, right? So with that in mind, you would have caught this, and I probably would have held it all the way up there. Take profit smashed, right? Or if price had hit your first target, like I said last video, which is this previous higher high, right? You can move your stops to break even once you get there, and then you can continue holding it, and then you can track a trailer stop loss under your higher lows as prices continuing to the upside, right? Or whatever. It's completely up to you. Now, I didn't use trend lines again. Like, I don't like trend lines, and I always tell you this. Like, I don't know, I just don't like trend lines. So you probably could have used those, but I think market structure is better. Like, the 5-minute would have been a little confusing, simply because if this was your high, you still could have used it. If this was your high, higher low, higher high, and then you buy to close under there, here, not here, but here, lower low, lower high, lower low, right there. See, all this is just correction. All this is just noise. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low. You gotta train your eye to see this, because you can't just, all this little minor structure is not gonna, considering the type of pullback we're having, all this structure is irrelevant. You just need the major structure points or the pivot points. I don't know if I can use pivot points. Let me see if I can use pivot points. Let's see this. Let's see if I can use pivot points. See what I'm talking about? Like, you could have used pivot points. Like, you see, this is very clean. Like, you see this? Like, you just use the ones according to the structure. Like, you use pivot points. See what I'm talking about? Only the major ones, though, not the minor ones. Then you could have taken your trade right there. Right? See what I'm talking about? Same thing last week. Look, literally. Look at these pivot points right here. Look at that. Just look real quick. Like, look at these points, bro. You could have waited for break above, you retest, then you take your trade using these points. Like, literally, like, it's literally a cheat code. It's kind of like a cheat code. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I don't know how this works, but it does. But hey, you just do what works for you. But I don't need all that. So I'm probably not gonna use it. But I don't need all that. I can just use the moving averages and market structure, and I'll be good. So yeah, now what I'm gonna be looking for next week, well, technically this week, today's a Monday, I'm sorry, is the same thing. Like, I just need to see the same thing. Price giving me a higher high and a higher low and a continuation, right? Same thing as last week, same thing we've been doing. You don't need to complicate anything. Like I said, I always tell y'all to keep it simple. You don't need all that nonsense, right? So until we body close under this last low, I'm still gonna be bullish. I'm still gonna be looking for buys until we body close under here. I'm still gonna be looking for my buys. My bullish is still my bias is still bullish. Sorry, and yeah, we're just gonna continue from there. So right now we're still in the continuation. I'm gonna wait for price to give me a pullback. I don't know, sometime, maybe today. I don't know, today or tomorrow. I don't know when, because I'm on the 1 hour time frame. It's gonna take a little minute, but yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. If you're new again, make sure you like and subscribe. If you want to watch the previous videos, I'm gonna leave the links up there so you don't miss any content, so you don't miss anything that happened this past week. But anyways, thank y'all for watching, and I'm gonna see y'all in the next one.